Also across the river to our right, small body of water with a couple of boats anchored over there today. That body of water is called Crawford Bay. The bay serves as a nice anchoring ground for many local boats, as well as for those transiting in the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. I'll go into more detail about the Intercoastal Waterway in just a few minutes. Coming up on our right along the Portsmouth waterfront, large marinas called Tidewater Yacht, a full-service marina offering 300 boat slips. If you look inshore to our right, past the marina, you'll see some church steeples sticking into the air. These churches are located in a section of Portsmouth known as Old Town. Many of these structures over there in Old Town date back to the mid-1700s. Function of a floating dry dock like the Titan is to lift a ship up out of the water so bottom-side repairs can be made to the ship. To explain how the floating dry dock works, first they flood tanks located within the walls and floors of the dry dock. They flood the tanks with river water, which allows the dry dock to then sink down into the river. With the dry dock mostly submerged, tugboats will carefully assist the ship by floating it over top the dry dock. Once the ship is carefully placed over top the dry dock, they slowly pump the water back out of the tanks, which then makes the dry dock become buoyant. Then it will slowly rise to the surface and lift the ship completely out of the water. On the tour, they perform primarily government contract work. You'll see their floating dry dock coming up on our right, black in color. It's named Speedy. The dry dock Speedy works the exact same way as the dry dock Titan that I pointed out just a minute ago. We will see a ship in the dry dock Speedy. That's hull number 21, which is the USS New York. The New York is a San Antonio class LP with a gray roof as the Waterside District, a newly renovated 30,000 square foot facility that features a variety of unique food and beverage choices as well as a stage for live entertainment. Along the waterfront to our right, the Waterside Municipal Marina. It's a popular stopping place for many local boats as well as for those transiting the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. Docked on the outside of the marina, you'll see a green and white hulled sailing vessel. It is named the American Rover. She's a 135-foot topsail schooner available for both private charter and walk-on sailing trips. The American Rover is also our fleet mate. Docked in the slip over to our right, just north of the marina, is a big black and white boat. That's the Spirit of Norfolk. She's a 187-foot miniature cruise ship. It offers 2-hour lunch and dinner cruises. Just ahead of us to our right, a much smaller black and white boat. That one's named the Virginia Elite. It's also operated by City Cruises. It's available for private charter only. Large grassy area to our right is Town Point Park. The park is used extensively throughout the warmer months of the year to host a variety of festivals and special events. Several concerts are also performed here at the park, some of which are free and open to the public. $1 billion Maritime Museum that features a variety of exhibits, such as interactive videos, hands-on simulations, and traveling exhibits on loan from other museums. Nauticus is also home to the Hampton Roads Naval Museum as well as the Battleship Wisconsin. We will see the battleship ahead of us here in just a minute. But first, coming up on our right next to Nauticus, you'll see the Half Moon Cruise and Celebration Center. It is a cruise ship terminal and convention center in one, an 80,000 square foot multi-purpose facility constructed at a cost of $36 million. The pier coming up on our right is where the cruise ships dock. Most of the cruises that round out of Norfolk are cruises to the Caribbean. Coming into view ahead of us to our right, past the cruise ship terminal, you'll see the Battleship Wisconsin bearing the hull number 64. The Wisconsin is an Iowa-class battleship, the last of the 4 that were constructed. Wisconsin was commissioned April 16, 1944, her first service being World War II. The Wisconsin is a rather large ship, 887.5 feet long. It weighs in at 45,000 gross tons and originally carried a crew of 2,900 sailors on board. If you look on the rear deck of the Wisconsin, you'll see some rather large guns. This is 16-inch guns, the largest guns ever deployed on a United States naval warship. There's a total of 9 of them on board the Wisconsin. The guns are situated 3 to a turret. 1 turret on the rear of the ship. The other 2 turrets are located up forward. The barrels on these guns are the approximate length of a tractor-trailer rig, which is about 60 feet long. They are capable of firing a 2,700-pound projectile up to 23 nautical miles. Also on board the Wisconsin are 12 smaller 5-inch guns, 6 of them located on either side of the superstructure. Coming up on our right, unusual-looking white building. It's called the Waterfield Building. It serves as the headquarters for the United States Army Corps of Engineers. One of the many things that the Corps of Engineers is responsible for is to maintain our harbors and rivers, as well as the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway. They help to remove debris that could pose a threat to safe navigation. Behind the Waterfield Building, coming to view in just a second, you'll see some white brick walls and some black cannons on the lawn. That's all part of old Fort Norfolk, which was in use in the War of 1812. The fort served as the city of Norfolk's secondary line of defense against the British invasion. Fortunately, during that conflict, the British never made it this far up the Elizabeth River. Therefore, the fort to our right never saw actual combat. Over to our left-hand side, directly to our left, is another General Dynamics shipyard. There are 3 ships at the yard to our left. All 3 ships are identical. They are the Cape Race, the Cape Rise, and the Cape Ray. Those 3 ships are owned by our government and are operated for our government by Narrated, which is short for Maritime Administration. Now, ahead of us to our right are the Lambert's Point General Cargo Piers. These piers are used to ship general and break bulk cargo and small amounts of containerized cargo. General cargo involves cargo not stored into container boxes. There's several ships in here today. The first ship over to our right is a large gray and white ship. It's kind of a mysterious ship that's been calling here in the past month. She's been here twice. No identification on that ship that we can find. Haven't been able to look her up either, so I'm not quite sure. Some sort of top secret ship or something maybe. I don't really know. One of the major exports from the facility over to our right is new train locomotives. They're manufactured by a company called Wabtec in Pennsylvania, brought here on flatbed rail cars, then loaded on board ships for export to countries all around the world. We might see some of those train locomotives being loaded onto a ship on the north side of Pier P over to our right. It's been here loading for a couple days now. Looks like they have 1 left to load. You'll see that taking place over to our right. There are 6 ships ahead of us to our right. We'll cover the green tanker first. Up ahead of us to our right, the Chem Neon. Just came in late yesterday or early this morning. Not sure exactly what she's going to carry, but a lot of the tankers that call here at this facility transport liquefied animal fat, used for a variety of things. There are 5 large ships over to our right, all temporarily being stored here. 2 gray ships to our right are identical. They're called LMSRs, and that stands for Large Medium Speed Ro-Ro Ship. Those 2 gray ships are owned by the Navy, operated for the Navy by civilian crews, the Military Sea Lift Command, indicated to us by seeing gray, blue, and gold bandings painted around the smokestacks of the ships. Function of the 2 gray ships is transporting heavy mechanized equipment and cargo, specifically for the United States Army. Next, coming up on our right, there are 3 large black-hulled ships, 2 tied alongside of each other, and the one on the north side of the pier coming up on our right. Those 3 ships are privately owned by a company called General Dynamics. They own 13 ships like these. The 13 ships are then leased to the United States Navy, then operated for the Navy by civilian crews, the Military Sea Lift Command, indicated by the gray, blue, and gold bandings that you'll see around the stacks of these ships as well. Function of the black-hulled ships is transporting heavy mechanized equipment and cargo, specifically for the United States Marines. And again, the tanker ship you'll see over to our right, again, quite often the tankers that call here transport liquefied animal fats. A couple of examples what that's used in, some things you might be familiar with. The Oreo cookies, the filling in an Oreo cookie is sugar and liquefied animal fat and some other ingredients. And the Frosties that you might purchase at Wendy's, liquefied animal fat, sugar, and other tasty ingredients. Now the first pier off to our right is Pier 1. You'll see 1 ship there today. It's the large white ship with the red crosses. That is the USNS Comfort. The Comfort is a Mercy-class hospital ship. She's 894 feet long, 106 feet wide.
interest